With more than 20 tear-filled novels and dozens of short stories, Stephen King is the first name in modern horror fiction. Many of King's tales have been made into movies, some regarded as classics, and others highly questionable. In this video, I'll be exploring the first two cinematic adaptations of Stephen King's work, Carrie and Salem's Lot. Stephen King's first published novel, 1974's Carrie, saw film adaptation in 1976. The film tells the story of Carrie Wright, a 16-year-old who develops telekinetic powers at the onset of puberty. Unfortunately, due to Carrie's shy and awkward tendencies, she's bullied by her classmates and terrorized by her fanatically religious mother. After becoming the victim of a horrendously cruel prank, which leaves her drenched in pig's blood at her class's prom, Carrie lashes out with her telekinetic powers, killing everyone who gets in her path. Directed by Brian De Palma, Carrie spends most of its time identifying and sympathizing with its lead character. De Palma realized Carrie's burst of telekinetic rage through sudden flashes of editing and sound design. These outbursts are the highlight of Carrie. In fact, the majority of the film functions as a build-up for its unforgettable climax. Carrie's prom night massacre was stylishly edited in split screen in order to emphasize and provide multiple perspectives of its chaotic action, and is a technique De Palma used frequently in his films. In a departure from the source material, Carrie's mother's death was made to resemble that of the crucified Jesus, deepening the film's criticism of religious fundamentalism. Famously, De Palma ended Carrie with one final fright. This sequence was inspired by the 1972 film Deliverance, and in turn influenced the ending of the original Friday the 13th. With Carrie, King created a coming-of-age horror tale, a story structure he'd returned to multiple times. King used Carrie's telekinetic powers as a symbolic extension of her emotional frustrations, a physical, and in the case of the film, visual representation of her rage. The author came up with the idea for the novel after cleaning a woman's locker room while working as a janitor. Having previously read a Life magazine article suggesting that puberty can sometimes trigger telekinetic powers in young women, King combined the concept with the setting and began writing. Due to Sissy Spacek's and Piper Laurie's Oscar-nominated performances, as well as the stylish and suspenseful direction of De Palma, Carrie remains a horror classic to this day. Despite being remade twice, once for TV in 2002, and again theatrically in 2013, the original remains the definitive take on King's story of teenage telekinesis. King's second novel, 1975's Salem's Lot, was made into a TV miniseries in 1979. In it, author Ben Mears returns to his hometown of Salem's Lot to write a novel about the Marston House, an eerie hilltop property thought to be haunted. After several mysterious deaths and disappearances, Ben, along with his love interest, Susan, and a local teenager named Mark, discover the new owner of the Marston House is a master vampire, and that many of the town's residents have already been turned. Directed by Tobe Hooper, Salem's Lot is best remembered for its imagery of vampiric children ominously floating outside windows. These sequences were achieved using a camera crane instead of a more traditional wire harness in order to emphasize their surreal, supernatural quality. The design of master vampire Kurt Barlow was inspired by the titular vampire from 1922's Nosferatu. Likewise, Salem's Lot's modern take on the vampire legend influenced 80s vampire films such as Fright Night and The Lost Boys, as well as the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series. King's original idea for Salem's Lot was a modern reinterpretation of Dracula, and the similarities are easy to see. Barlow's assistant, Richard Straker, mirrors the role of the mad servant Renfield, and the Marston House substitutes for Dracula's own Carfax Abbey. In Salem's Lot, King explores another of his recurring themes, that of inherent evil.
Jason, do you believe a thing can be inherently evil? The Marston House, for instance.
King would explore this topic further and to greater effect in his next novel, The Shining. When Stephen King's literary tears are paired with atmospheric direction, they produce unforgettable images of cinematic horror. King himself attributes his work's adaptability from page to screen to his writing style.
Why do you think yours have translated to film so well?
I think that producers and filmmakers look for visual imagery. My books are visual because I grew up on TV, I grew up on the movies, and I also grew up on Imagist poetry. There's the T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound.
With Carrie and Salem's Lot, Stephen King's novel saw 2 successful adaptations, and for better or worse, many more were to come. Be sure to check out my collaboration with Jacob Perrett over at his channel Something Sinister, and don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos.